दर्शकों को नमस्कार। मैं संजुला हालदर, उप निदेशक प्रधान आयकर महानिदेशालय प्रशासन एवं करदाता सेवाएं के अधीनस्थ आयकर निदेशालय जनसंपर्क प्रकाशन एवं प्रचार मयूर भवन नई दिल्ली में कार्यरत हूँ। वेलकम टू अनदर सेशन फ्रॉम संवाद। संवाद श्रृंखला के भाग के रूप में आज हम आपके लिए कॉन्सेप्ट्स रिलेटेड टू इंटरनेशनल टैक्सेशन से संबंधित विषय पर चर्चा लाए हैं। In this session, viewers will delve into intriguing concepts such as the definition of a non-resident, the taxation of non-resident incomes, and other interesting concepts related to international taxation. आज हमारे साथ चर्चा के लिए श्री महेश शाह सर, प्रिंसिपल कमिश्नर ऑफ इनकम टैक्स, ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग 1, न्यू दिल्ली हैं। Sir is an officer of the Indian Revenue Service of the 1994 batch and possesses over 28 years of diverse experience in administrative, investigative and adjudicatory roles within fiscal law, finance, accounts and corporate affairs, holding academic credentials including an LLB, LLM from the University of Vienna and a Chartered Accountant qualification from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Sir has excelled in both academia and professional practice. Sir's career highlights active participation in international conferences, membership in expert committees addressing crucial tax matters, designing training courses for international tax authorities, and delivering lectures at esteemed institutions in professional forums. Additionally, Sir possesses a robust record of representing the government before judicial bodies and contributing scholarly works to esteemed publications. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation to this episode of Samvad on the topic Concepts Related to International Taxation.
सभी दर्शकों को नमस्कार। संवाद के इस एपिसोड में मुझे आमंत्रित करने के लिए धन्यवाद संजुला।
सर, सबसे पहले मैं आपसे पूछना चाहूंगी कि अनिवासी भारतीय यानी NRI कौन होते हैं?
एक अनिवासी भारतीय वह व्यक्ति है जो कर उद्देश्यों के लिए भारत का निवासी नहीं है। आयकर अधिनियम 1961 की धारा 6 के तहत यदि आप इन दोनों शर्तों को पूरा नहीं करते हैं तो आप संबंधित वित्तीय वर्ष न कि मूल्यांकन वर्ष, इसमें यह भी मैं हाईलाइट करना चाहूंगा कि वित्तीय वर्ष और मूल्यांकन वर्ष अलग अलग होते हैं, तो ये वित्तीय वर्ष के हिसाब से डिसाइड करते हैं मैं अनिवासी है कि नहीं है। इफ यू आर इन इंडिया फॉर 182 days or more during the relevant financial year, or if you are in India for 60 days or more in that financial year and 365 days or more in 4 years immediately preceding the financial year, इसमें क्यूमुलेटिवली आपका उसके पहले वाले साल में 365 डेज या उससे ज्यादा होना चाहिए। और अदर कंडीशंस आर आल्सो देयर फॉर अ पर्सन ऑफ इंडियन ओरिजिन PIO or an Indian citizen who visits India during the financial year, or an Indian citizen who leaves the country in any financial year as a crew member of a ship or for employment, 60 days is substituted with 182 days. It's a beneficial provision by which these persons are not treated as non-residents even if they stay for more than 60 days in the financial year, and that has to be calculated with 182 days. One more thing, as per Finance Act 2020 with effect from 1/4/2021, the period of 60 days is substituted with 120 days if an Indian citizen or a person of Indian origin whose total income other than income from foreign sources exceeds 15 lakhs in the financial year. So this income has to be from India source. Also, according to a new section 6(1)(a) in the Finance Act 2020, that is also applicable from 1/4/2021, assessment year 21-22, an Indian citizen with a total income of more than 15 lakhs, of course other than income from foreign sources, Indian income, shall be deemed to be a resident in India if he is not liable to pay tax in any other country by reason of his domicile or residence or any other criteria of similar nature. This provision has been brought in to tax those non-residents who are not paying taxes in any of the countries because they are not resident or they are not staying for a sufficient duration in any one country to qualify as a resident. In those cases, they would be taxable in India if these conditions are satisfied.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, could you please explain the difference between concept of tax residency and citizenship and its impact on taxability to the viewers?
This is a very, very important question, Sanjula. The citizenship is the closest connection between a person and a country. However, the concept of citizenship cannot be equated with the concept of tax residency. भले ही कोई व्यक्ति भारत का नागरिक हो, लेकिन उसके द्वारा कुछ शर्तों को पूरा करने पर उसे उस अवधि में कर उद्देश्यों के लिए अनिवासी माना जा सकता है. इसलिए इन दोनों अवधारणाओं के बीच अंतर को समझना बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है. The citizenship is granted by a country on the basis of certain specific norms, rules. However, the tax residency, as per Indian Income Tax Act, is purely based on the physical presence of such individual in India. A person can be a tax resident in India for tax purposes even when is not a citizen of India and vice versa. So, a foreigner can be a tax resident in India, or an Indian citizen may not be a tax resident in India during that year, depending on the physical presence.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would really like you to explain to the viewers that if a person is a tax resident in India, what are the consequent tax implications on that person? The concept of global income, sir.
This is a very, very important question, Sanjula. So if a person is a tax resident in India, his global income earned in India, as well as income earned outside India would be liable to tax in India. We basically, India, tax it as a global income if you are a tax resident in India. So any income from wherever arising or being earned by a person would become taxable in India. However, he would be allowed credit for taxes paid in a foreign jurisdiction if the income which is being included in his total income has been taxed twice, that is, in the foreign jurisdiction as well as in India, as per the provisions of the law. For this purpose, one may resort to the double taxation avoidance agreement that India would have entered into with the other country in order to eliminate the possibility of paying taxes twice. For the countries with which no double taxation agreement exists, the credit can be claimed on such doubly taxed income by such individual as per the provisions of section 91 of the IT Act.
धन्यवाद सर. सर, अनिवासी होने के लिए HUF, फर्म, AOP और कंपनी से संबंधित प्रावधान क्या-क्या है?
ये बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है संजुला. ये जो अभी तक हम डिस्कस कर रहे थे वो एक इंडिविजुअल के केस में डिस्कस कर रहे थे, बट इन केस ऑफ HUF, फर्म एंड कंपनी इनका अलग प्रोविजन है. एक HUF, फर्म या AOP को पिछले वर्ष के दौरान भारत में अनिवासी कहा जाता है यदि उसके मामलों का नियंत्रण और प्रबंध पूरी तरह से भारत के बाहर स्थित हो. इसमें होली वर्ड है, सो द मैनेजमेंट हैज टू बी होली आउटसाइड इंडिया, देन इट बिकम्स अ नॉन रेजिडेंट. इन केस ऑफ अ कंपनी, किसी कंपनी को भारत में निवासी तभी कहा जाएगा यदि वो एक भारतीय कंपनी है. यदि कोई इंडियन कंपनी है तो वो हमेशा रेसिडेंट कंपनी मानी जाएगी या उस वर्ष उसका प्रभावी प्रबंधन, इफेक्टिव मैनेजमेंट का स्थान भारत में स्थित है.
So you mentioned place of effective management. So what are the guidelines for determination of place of effective management for a company?
CBDT has issued various circulars laying down guiding principle to decide the place of effective management. Various circulars have been issued by CBDT, like circular number 6 of 2017, circular number 8 of 2017, and circular number 25 of 2017. This has been introduced in Indian Income Tax Act from 2016, by which and a foreign company would become a tax resident in India if the poem of such company is situated in India. As per para 11 of circular number 6 lays down guidelines for approval of the proposal of the assessing officer for determination of poem by collegium of 3 principal commissioners or commissioners, which is to be constituted by each principal CCIT in his jurisdiction. So there has to be, each principal CCIT has to pass an order constituting a collegium consisting of either 3 principal commissioners or commissioners in a jurisdiction. Every assessing officer who wants to establish that the poem of the foreign company is in India has to refer the case along with the facts and circumstances of the case to the collegium, which would dwell into the issues and decide whether the poem of the company is based in India or not.
Thank you so much for explaining that, sir. So next I would like to ask you that which income is taxable in India for NRIs?
Any income that accrues or arises in India or is deemed to accrue or arise in India, and any income that is received or deemed to be received in India will be taxable for NRIs. In other words, the NRIs are liable to pay tax in India if such income is earned in India. So only those incomes which are sourced from India would be taxable. Income which is earned outside India would not be taxable in India for NRIs. In case of non-resident, interest, generally speaking, interest on NRO, non-resident ordinary account, is taxable in India, whereas the interest on NRE, non-resident external, and FCNR, foreign currency non-resident accounts, will be tax-free because these accounts are being maintained in the foreign currency and these monies have been received from outside India by the NRI.
Thank you, sir. Our viewers must have got clarity from your answer. So next I would like to ask whether non-residents are also required to obtain PAN.
A very good question. There is a lot of misconception about this. Every person who is required to file a return of income or intends to enter into an economic or financial transaction where quoting of PAN is mandatory must have a PAN. Some of the illustrative lists of instances when quoting of PAN is required, I'll just discuss briefly. Trading in shares by depository or brokers, making investments in securities, purchase of immovable or movable property in India, opening a bank account in India and making deposits therein, payment of life insurance premium. In all these cases, PAN is required by the act, by the law. So a resident or a non-resident, whoever is getting into any of these transactions, is required to obtain the PAN.
Dhanyavad, sir. So please explain to our viewers whether non-residents are required to link their PAN with Aadhaar as well.
Effective 1st July 2023, if PAN is not linked with Aadhaar, PAN will become inoperative till Aadhaar is linked with the PAN. If the PAN is inoperative, it would mean there is no PAN and all other consequences of non-quoting of PAN will apply, such as high TDS rates of 20%. An individual who is residing in the state of Assam, Jammu and Kashmir and Meghalaya, an individual of the age of 80 years or more, non-residents and foreign citizens are exempt from PAN Aadhaar linkage if they do not possess Aadhaar. So in other words, if any of these persons described above does not possess an Aadhaar, then there is no requirement of linkage of Aadhaar with the PAN. However, if they possess Aadhaar, there is no exemption and it has to be linked with the Aadhaar. Very important point in this question is also कि अपने पैन की स्थिति की जांच करने के लिए आयकर पोर्टल पर लॉगिन करें और माई प्रोफाइल में यह पता लगाएं कि पैन सक्रिय है या निष्क्रिय। यदि पैन निष्क्रिय है और आप बिना आधार के अनिवासी विदेशी नागरिक के रूप में अर्हता प्राप्त करते हैं तो आप पैन को निष्क्रिय से सक्रिय करवाने के लिए क्षेत्राधिकारी वाले आयकर अधिकारी को लिख सकते हैं या सहायक दस्तावेजों के साथ ऑनलाइन शिकायत दर्ज कर सकते हैं। ये इसलिए भी हो सकता है कि आप नॉन रेसिडेंट हैं, आपके पास आधार नहीं है, पर आपने ये सब सबमिट नहीं किया है डिपार्टमेंट को, तो इसके लिए आपको बहुत ही विजिलेंट रहने की ज़रूरत है। और यदि इस तरह का आपका कोई केस है तो आपको उसको पोर्टल पे या क्षेत्रीय अधिकारी को लिखकर इसको क्लैरिफाई कर सकते हैं।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। सर, हमारे दर्शकों को कृपया बताएं कि एक नॉन रेसिडेंट इंडियन को इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न कब फाइल करने की जरूरत है?
वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन संजुला। चाहे आप एनआरआई हैं या निवासी, यदि आपकी कुल वार्षिक आय 2.5 लाख रुपए की मूल छूट सीमा से अधिक है तो आपके लिए आयकर विवरणी दाखिल करना अनिवार्य है। द लास्ट डेट फॉर फाइलिंग रिटर्न is 31st July of the relevant assessment year. But if you are a working partner in a firm whose accounts need to be audited, then the due date is 30th September. In case of transfer pricing involved in such cases, the due date would be 30th November. An NRI is exempt from filing returns under subsection 1 of section 139 if his total income in the previous year consisted only of dividend income or interest income or income from royalty or fees for technical services, and tax as per chapter 12b has been deducted from such sources of income. I would like to clarify here that the TDS has to be deducted as per the provisions of the Act. Then only a non-resident would not be required to file the return of income. If the tax has been deducted as per the DTA rate or treaty rate as we call it, then he may be required to file the return of income to claim the benefit of double taxation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, could you please explain to our viewers which are the ITR forms that a non-resident is required to fill?
The NRI is required to file ITR 2 if he has income other than business income. However, if the NRI has business income during the year, he is required to file ITR 3. He is also required to file ITR 3 if he has income from cryptocurrency. So all cases where there is a business income or crypto income, he is required to file ITR 3, whereas in all other cases he is required to file in Form 2.
सर, एक एनआरआई को भी अग्रिम कर का भुगतान करने की आवश्यकता है क्या?
Yes, एक एनआरआई के रूप में यदि कर देनदारी एक वित्तीय वर्ष में 10,000 रुपए से अधिक है तो उस व्यक्ति को अग्रिम कर का भुगतान करने के लिए उत्तरदायी होगा। अग्रिम कर का भुगतान करने में विफल रहने के मामले में ऐसा व्यक्ति आयकर अधिनियम 1961 की धारा 234B एंड 234C के प्रावधानों के अनुसार ब्याज का भुगतान करने के लिए उत्तरदायी होगा।
Sir, if an NRI has paid tax in abroad, does he have to pay tax on the same income in India as well? Could you explain that to our viewers, sir?
An NRI's foreign sourced income is generally not taxable in India. However, in some cases where a person is resident in 2 or more countries in the same year, tax residency has to be established and DTA, that is double taxation avoidance agreement, relief can be claimed if foreign income is being declared due to tax residency in India. This happens when there is overlapping in the stay provisions of 2 countries. A person can be a tax resident of more than 1 country depending on their domestic laws. In such scenarios, the double taxation treaty provides the way out by which there are provisions as to he would be a resident of which country depending on his close connection with the economic relations with that country. If that happens, in such cases, such person would be taxable more on his global income, then tax credit is required to be given by the country to whom he is a resident. So for claiming such income, there are 2-3 conditions, which is first and foremost is that the income has to be doubly taxed, that is he has paid taxes in the country where the source of the income is there, and he is also paying taxes as a resident in the other country. Then he can claim double taxation relief as per the double taxation treaty.
Thank you, sir. Sir, हमारे दर्शकों को कॉन्सेप्ट्स रिलेटेड टू इंटरनेशनल टैक्सेशन समझाने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। हमें उम्मीद है कि इस सेशन से आपको सभी आवश्यक जानकारी मिली होगी। We hope this session gave you the necessary insights into concepts related to international taxation, like whether NRIs are required to file tax returns, whether NRIs are required to obtain a PAN and link their PAN with Aadhaar. Please keep watching the next session to know more about the procedure of assessment of a non-resident by the income tax authorities, the procedure for obtaining lower deduction certificate, and so much more. Do follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and keep watching for updates on more educational and informative content. Until the next time from Samvad, thank you and Jai Hind.